Oh.
Hey.
All right, this is the Pulling Each Other Along show. We might get in big trouble. I'm using YouTube. Got to give credits to one of the great songs of the Indianapolis Clowns, and this is Van Halen. This song was used over and over and over again with the Indianapolis Clowns. Dave, give a little introduction to how that song was used so we can.
That was used with our famous Shadow Ball show.
Yep.
And you're going to have to explain Shadow Ball real quick because
it's an infield. It's a pantomime infield drill actually, where we would take a fistful of dirt in our throwing hand, and a guy would take a bat and he'd throw up a puff of dirt and pretend to hit the ball to the infielder. Infielder would field it and throw that, and as you threw, the puff of dirt would come out of your hand, and so we went through a regular infield routine with that to close out our games usually. And at one point we had our clown, Tim Strasser, Rainbow the Clown, would because we would all converge on the mound at the end of the jump song. We would converge on the mound, and the clown, whoever it was, more likely than not, it was Lyle, and he would have a real baseball in his glove, but he'd have it hidden. And when the song ended, he would throw the ball up in the air and try to catch it. And more often than not, it would drill him right in the head.
I like how you say try to catch it.
So, and just to let people know, that's basically when Dave was a player. And did you do this as a player, Dave, or just when you guys owned the club, you brought that back, the Shadow Ball?
No. The Indianapolis Clowns is a famous Negro Leagues team, and they did that as far back as you can remember. You can actually see the Billy D. Williams movie, Bing Along and the Traveling All-Stars, loosely based on the Clowns, that movie, and they actually do it in that movie as well.
Right. Someday I'll release the footage that I have. I know in 1988 when you closed out the Clowns, that season, you actually did the very last rendition of Shadow Ball with the Indianapolis Clowns, and I have that on film.
Yeah, you told me that, and I still can't recall ever doing the Shadow Ball.
Well, there you have it, and that's the story behind why we use Jump as our. I guess they can sue us. We have so little money, they can just sue us if it wasn't legal to do that. I don't know.
I'm sure they're coming right after us tonight.
They're coming right after us. I think you get like 7 seconds, and so maybe I cut it right to 7 seconds. But I do. We have a special guest coming on. This is somebody that I reached out to. Not even sure how I found this gentleman. I'm not even sure why he answered my phone call, but he did. And I remember the first call, I think I was outside somewhere and had about an hour-long conversation with him. And in essence, a little bit of a friendship, some business things. I got to meet him during the Super Bowl out in Minneapolis. So without further ado, I am going to bring in our special guest today, Patrick Klinger. How are you today, Mr. Klinger?
Hey, Doug, I'm great. Gentlemen, great to be with you this evening. It's a privilege.
So it's a privilege to have you and to meet you, and give us a little background of yourself. You can talk about yourself. People would want to know why you're on here, and then we'll get to some questions. But give us a little background where you are and what you do in life.
Well, I'm here in downtown St. Paul, Minnesota. I'm about 100 feet from the bank of the Mississippi River. This is home for me. I'm a Minnesota native, born and raised, went to school here in Minnesota. I had the good fortune of having an opportunity to start my career with the Minnesota Twins, where I spent the majority of my career. And after 14 seasons with the team, 16 in total, actually, I started my own firm in 2012. I now work with companies that are corporate sponsors of sports teams, and I help them negotiate their contracts, manage their partnerships, make sure they're getting full measure from their investment.
And that company would be Agile Marketing Partners.
It is.
There you go.
It is.
And so that's where he's gone to. And so I think when I reached out to you, were you still with the Twins, or had just, I think, recently parted with the Twins? If I'm
I think, Doug, when we first met, I had probably just departed from the Twins.
Yeah.
It was a great run. I had a fantastic time in Major League Baseball. I had the good fortune of doing a lot of exciting things and seeing a lot of exciting games. We had a team that won, I think, 6 division titles in the course of 9 years. We could never quite get past the Yankees, so we didn't get to the World Series, but we had a very competitive team. I had the chance to help build Target Field and open that in 2010, and I still consider it one of the best ballparks in Major League Baseball. So my tenure with the Twins was a lot of fun. Did some really interesting and exciting things. But after 14 years, it's a little bit like a player. It just felt like it was time to retire from the game and do something a little bit different. So I launched my own firm, and I've had the pleasure of running my business for the last almost 9 years now.
Wow. And I know I was kind of, privy to at least some of the stuff as far as getting the, when you were starting this, some of the struggles. Obviously, when you have businesses, you have struggles, all those kind of things. And I was just so impressed with you and even your willingness to spend time with us when our organization is still very small. I mean, we've kind of had these growth spurts, and then things like COVID happened, and we hit a brick wall, and I'm sure you've experienced some of those things too. But one thing I'll never forget that you did for really us is you reached out to some fairly well-known people in the film industry for me, and it didn't go anywhere yet, but you never know. It's a slow boat. But you gave me a quote after I kind of shared Dave Clark's story in one of the emails that you copied me on. You said that Dave's story is a story so incredible that it's scarcely believable.
Huh.
I don't know if you want to expound on that a little bit. It's just, what were you feeling when you wrote that? That's a great quote, and I've been able to use it.
Doug, when you reached out to me and you shared with me Dave's story, I really, truly couldn't believe it. I'd been in baseball for a long time, and I'd heard a lot of different stories and seen a lot of met a lot of inspirational people, knew a lot of inspirational stories, but Dave's story was one that I truly struggled to believe. And he was a gentleman who pitched on crutches and did what he did was something that I think anybody who heard that story would be hard pressed to believe it at first, and I certainly was. And so as you and I began our conversations and got to know each other a little bit better, I was even more inspired and motivated by what he did, because that's not something an ordinary person would do.
Well, he's not ordinary, I can tell you that.
For sure.
Dave guys can attest to that one. So we got two,
true.
and actually Dave Clark knows he's not ordinary either. So go ahead, Dave. You got a question?
I was just going to say, Patrick, it's where I'm at now. I've got post polio now, and use a little electric scooter a lot more frequently than I probably want to. So you're not alone to have a hard time believing that story, because I look back now and I go, who the hell was that guy? But from where I'm sitting right now tonight, when I look back, I realize what incredible strength that must have had, not just physically but mentally, to been able to do what I wanted to do. I didn't think that way back then. I just thought, another guy, and I was privileged, yeah, but I didn't think anything of it really. And once my career ended and I went into coaching and scouting, I just moved on and really didn't think anything about it. And so a sports writer came up and asked if I'd ever thought about writing a book, and one thing led to another. And then Doug really kind of said to me, you need to get this story out. You could help a lot of people. And I've seen that. I've seen that now. But back in the day, those were the farthest thoughts from my mind. I was just a guy having fun, playing baseball, and taking it as far as I could. And I didn't get as far as I wanted to get. All of us when we started out, as you well know, we want to get to the bigs. We want to get to the show, and that didn't happen for me.
I think it was because you didn't think of it that way that you were able to get that far. To be honest with you,
probably.
You just do it. Just go for it.
I didn't. I just did it, and I didn't do. I didn't think of anything else.
Right.
Just did it. But
right.
So you're not alone. I when I look back now, I'm thinking it's pretty unbelievable too.
So when it gets more unbelievable, Patrick, I know you were very instrumental in bringing NHL hockey to Minneapolis. Am I correct in saying such a thing?
Yes.
And so you were the point man for bringing all of the hockey to Minneapolis. So to make Dave's story, and my fear of this is we're going to talk about hockey all night, but we won't. But I don't know if you know this.
Season just started.
Yep.
I tell people when I share Dave's story, I have to dumb it down because people like you don't believe me. And I've learned literally to dumb it down and give them little spoonfuls before they're ready for the whole thing. But I don't know if you know this, but Dave actually played ice hockey in college, even though he couldn't skate.
I didn't know that.
And they literally had to pull him on the ice. This is a picture that I found. The interesting thing about this picture, that's a good friend. I don't know if Dave Gronsky's watching right now, but it's a good friend of Dave's pulling him on the ice. They had to drag him on the ice, and they would set him in the goal, and basically he would catch pucks. And, and so that's another part of the story. And then he's called games all the way to the NHL level.
Well, that is remarkable. And first of all, Dave, I appreciate that because I may be the only person in Minnesota who doesn't know how to ice skate. If you grew up in Minnesota, you better know how to skate because it's frozen like about 8 months out of the year.
Right.
And somehow skating got past me. And so if I were to play hockey, I'd be looking a lot like you did. That's why I would play the game. Right on my backside because I couldn't stand up.
Yeah,
I hear you there.
Dave took a few pucks to the head, I think.
Yeah, I sure did.
So, but that's another part of what makes his story pretty remarkable. That I literally, like I told you, I can't even when I meet an executive like you in the sports world, or I meet a professional baseball player or something like that. They immediately, a lot of times, the response, especially former pro baseball players. When I say Dave got up into the major leagues of Sweden, he played over in Sweden's major leagues and he owned the team and all this stuff. They're like, it was like a Harlem Globetrotter thing. They want to dumb it down to that. No, he couldn't have done that.
Well, it's just so hard to believe sometimes.
But you played with him, and it's hard to believe, right?
Right. Until you actually see him do it, you just can't picture it because in your mind it just doesn't make sense. But so many things can happen if you just let yourself do it.
Kirsten, thank you for your quote.
Hey, guys, can I say something?
No.
Yeah. Okay.
Go ahead.
I feel a little. This show's about Patrick.
I got you.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, we'll get it about Patrick. So, Patrick, this is the Pulling Each Other Along show. And one of the things we ask our guests each week is if you can dig down deep and find that one thing, that one belief that pulled you along. And then I'm going to follow it with a question that I don't usually follow it up with, but let us know what pulled you along in your life in any factor, in any matter. It doesn't have to be business, family, whatever.
Doug, I think faith really pulled me along. And faith is a journey. There are peaks, there are valleys, there are times that you don't want to be pulled along. You don't believe you're being pulled along. You think you're doing it on your own, but somebody else, a higher power, I believe, is pulling you when you need it. And I think that for me is, as I thought about this question, that is really what I think is sustained me throughout some really challenging times in my life. I mean, certainly there are family members, there are friends, there are people who have been there for me. My parents divorced when I was 4 years old. They were very young, 18 and 16. I had grandparents, fortunately, that stepped in and helped pull me along. My wife, when I was married, helped pull me along at a time when my career was struggling. So there are many, many examples of people in my life who have been there for me and pulled me along. But I think at the end of the day, it's really been my faith more than anything that has pulled me through some really difficult and trying times, times that we all go through. But fortunately, I've had my foundation of my faith, and that's really what's I think helped carry me and pull me along.
That's great. That's great. And I think there's, one of the things we've done with the pulling each other along is, it could be a person, it can be a place, it can be a belief, it can be something like Audie Angel comes to my mind. Audie Angel is one of our chapters in the Pulling Each Other Along book. And she had an accident. She was kind of rising up the ranks, signing with Sony and all those kind of things. And all of a sudden, boom, she's in a wheelchair. And so life changes pretty quick for those kind of people. But she had this love for dance. And in her chapter, you're going to find that dance is what pulled her along. This innate spirit of just being able to move with her heart, is what kept her motivated. And then she's like the queen of hip hop wheelchair dancing. So it's a pretty cool story as one of our chapters, and that's just kind of a little appetite for those things. So, but I wanted to spin it too, which we really haven't done this with the show too much. But what do you think there's ways where, Patrick, you have been instrumental in pulling others along? Because it's a give and a take. I think we all, there's people that pull us along. There's things that pull us along. There's beliefs. But and I wanted to ask in a question of maybe some advice that you can give that will help pull people along.
I hope that I've pulled some people along throughout my life. I'd be very disappointed if I haven't.
Mm-hmm.
I've been very active for 20 years in the cause of suicide prevention. I know I've dealt with some people who have been in a very deep, dark place, and hopefully I help pull them out. I haven't been always successful with that, but that's a cause that's near and dear to my heart. When I was with the Minnesota Twins, I had an incredible platform to help pull people along. Working for a Major League Baseball team gives you an opportunity to do some really unique things. So I was able to give people, once in a lifetime experiences. There's one example that comes to mind that has really stuck with me over the years is this young boy, all of about 14, autistic and with cerebral palsy, whose dream it was to sing the national anthem before a Twins game. And to make matters even more challenging, his mother was dying of breast cancer. And it was her dying wish to be able to see her son, see his dream come true. And to be able to facilitate that and to make that happen and to help pull that family along in a really difficult time was incredible. To see, he didn't sing very well and he sang from a wheelchair, but it didn't matter.
Right.
The players were crying. The fans were crying. I was crying. His family was in tears. Having that platform, that opportunity to work for a Major League Baseball team and make some of those dreams come true is one of the greatest privileges of my life.
Right. And now some other people are crying, which is
That's a great
thing.
story,
So,
Patrick.
Very good.
absolutely. And yeah, I love hearing things like that, because when you have that opportunity to make a dream come true, then, what's better than that, and having that platform to do such a thing. And we all do in small ways.
Yeah.
But when we have those chances to do it in big ways, and then you actually do it, and don't let that moment slip by you, that's a wonderful thing. So thanks for sharing that. That's pretty cool. Do you have any words of advice of how people can help pull each other along?
I think you just you look for the opportunities and you take them. You have to get out of your own little world, right? I think we become a society where it used to be we're all in this boat together, and now it's, well, this is my boat, and get out of it, and that's unfortunate. I think that the most important thing that we can do is be compassionate, be empathetic, to look for opportunities to serve and to give back, and not think about ourselves all the time.
Right.
And and I think we're all just much happier when we do that. I mean, one of the greatest gifts, I think, is giving. To be able to give something to somebody else and to make them happy and provide a special moment for them. I mean, that lifts us up.
Right.
It certainly lifts me up. So it's just being aware and thinking beyond yourself, because there's such joy in giving back.
Yeah, no doubt. And a mother who just recently had a child pass away that we were able to meet, April. I just put up her quote here. She says she's crying, makes me think of Gabriel. And I know we've mentioned Gabriel the last few weeks, and we're gonna most likely do it again here soon. But let me see if I can find, here's a picture of Gabriel probably just a couple of weeks ago. I got to meet this young boy. He is our most recent Pulling Each Other Along award winner, Patrick. And he's one of those little boys that wasn't supposed to last a couple days, and 6 years later, he's impacting the world because of his spirit and because of his attitude, that he so easily shared. And it's hard, even without words, he shared a wonderful attitude. And so, April, thanks for being with us again tonight. She actually has a service for her son this Saturday in Hickory, North Carolina. And so we're sending you our best wishes there. And I know there's a T-shirt being made for Team Gabriel. And so we hope to make that available, through our show at least, and do the small things that we can here very soon to continue to support that young boy, and then his mother and father, and there's an army of people that were thinking and lifting this little boy up, and their thoughts and prayers and the support and all that kind of stuff. So thank you for being here again, April. We are very appreciative of how your son pulled us along and continues to, even today. So Dave Clark, any questions in the sports world for Mr. Patrick?
Well, I think Dave and I both. Now you go far enough to the dome, Patrick.
Oh,
I do.
Okay.
Sure.
Both Dave and I. Dave had the opportunity to actually try out for the Twins at the Dome.
Yeah.
And then we both had the privilege and opportunity to play in the Dome. And I'll never forget it was the one lasting memory I have of the Dome was, when you don't play there all the time, you have a heck of a time watching those fly balls and keeping track of them. And B, I believe our locker room that day was it was up a tremendous flight of steps. And I remember Cal Ripken coming down as I was going up. They were playing the Orioles, and we passed each other. Didn't even, just nodded at each other. But so I don't really have a question for you. I I want to expand on what you just said. Was I don't
We might
think any of us can down kindness because we never really know what impact it's going to have on the individual that we gave it to. Even if you know, I got corralled, Doug, you don't even know this. I got corralled into doing pitching clinics again out on Pine Island. And so I did one yesterday, and I have, you hit the word empathy, Patrick. Not enough of it, number one. And number two, because of my background, I think I have a unique perspective on things because I know how it feels to be that last guy picked in grade school, to be out on the playground and have somebody calling you polio for polio. So last night, I just, there was this little guy, never met him before on the Little League field, and he was off by himself. And so I went on my way, and I just went over, hey, buddy, what's your name? And right away, he smiled. He said, my name's Danny. Hey, Danny, come on with me, man. Let's go. Position you put. Danny enjoyed practice after that. He was standoffish before that. And it's just, you don't have to, what you did was great for that family. We don't have to do that monumental thing every day of our life. All we got to do is go say hi to that little guy in the corner and make his day. Because years from now, I don't know how that impacts him. And so I've had people do that. We all pull each other along at some point, and we're all pulled along.
Right. So I was going to say that. Yeah, I think everybody's got to be pulled along somehow, some way in their life, and it's just so easy to do the same thing for somebody else. And sometimes you don't even know it, you don't even realize it. But it would be much better place if everyone just kept that in mind and just had that thought and process.
Well, that's certainly our mission and hope for pulling each other along as we get. It's more than just a book to us, Patrick. It's it's hopefully a movement. It's a movement of kindness. It's a movement where, like even today, I was finishing up the touches of a greeting card that we're gonna put out, and it's basically just a greeting card where we can send it to people, thanking them for pulling us along in our life, because it's so often we go to a gravesite or somebody's already passed, and we said, you know what, I never really told that person how much they helped me at a specific spot, and so we're trying to in essence encourage people to do that now. Don't wait and get that done. So great words of wisdom. You got a really nice response from the folks that are listening here as well. And
I do have a question for Patrick.
All right, good.
Back to the dome.
Baseball.
How did you view the dome, Pat? Were you glad that you guys moved into Target Field and what was your feeling on the dome?
The Metrodome was a very unique place to work and to play baseball. The Twins had won 2 World Series in the Metrodome, and so in that sense, it was very special. But it was also an absolutely awful place to play baseball. The turf was very hard. You got crazy bounces. You had sort of a baggie in right field for the wall.
Right.
It was easy to lose a ball in the Teflon. My office was 2 floors underground. So I would come into work even in the middle of summer at 8:30 in the morning, and that would be the last time I would see sunlight, because first pitch would be at 7:10, and 2.5 or 3 hour game, and I'd be going home at 11 o'clock in the evening. Wow. So we were very excited to leave the dome. We had great memories there. We won our 2 World Series there, but to be able to get outside and have green grass, real grass, and blue sky was fantastic. And there were cold days. There are cold days at Target Field. You start
Oh yeah.
baseball
April, yep.
in March,
May.
April, and go into October. In Minnesota, it can be a little challenging.
Yep.
But there's absolutely no comparison. The Target Field is a really special place to watch baseball. Great place for the fan experience, and I'm sure that everybody in Minnesota is happy to have that ballpark, which is the Metrodome.
I have some old footage of Dave, and I don't know if Dave Geis was a part of that footage that I have. I'd have to.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, he's.
You're in that.
was
Yeah,
there.
I have old footage.
I might not be in your footage, but I was there.
No, you
You
probably
were.
were. I mean, it's like a whole game of long stuff that was. Chris, I think I have Dave Clark striking out that he's never struck out.
Not at the Dome, you don't, buddy.
No, I don't. All right, that's
You're not going to go that route with me.
All right, so he knows where he struck out. It wasn't there.
Yeah, Buffalo.
So we do have one of our most serious questions of the night.
Yes.
Yes.
Who's delivering that question?
Probably Geisy.
Oh, okay. All right.
Or Tom. Tom wants to deliver it. There it is.
There we go. So, am I asking it, or is he just
Yeah. Go ahead. You
Okay.
know, people got to hear too.
All right, Patrick. So, not the most important question, but one of the most important questions we ask every week is, what is your favorite donut to eat?
Well, this is a slam dunk for me.
All right, there you go.
Okay.
Nice.
I don't even have to think about this. I grew up in a town called Winona, Minnesota. It's maybe 25,000 people in southeastern Minnesota, a little river town. And I grew up a couple of blocks away from a bakery called Blado's. People came from everywhere to visit Blado's. We always had Blado's donuts in the house. And the maple glazed Long John is one of the greatest foods I've ever eaten in my entire life. And if you cut me today, you would probably still find some of the fat in those donuts.
My mouth's watering over that.
Yeah. Dave's the donut man. I don't know, Patrick. I believe you have the children's book about Dave and A Pound of Kindness. And one of the reasons, it's kind of like one of those hidden treasures. I have Dave holding a donut away from his dog, and that was one of the reasons I put that particular illustration up, working with the illustrator. At first, he had the dog snatching it out of his hands in an illustration. I go, no. Dave would never let that happen. And so I have, Dave being mean to his dog, not being very kind, and not sharing. But I'm sure he shared some, right, Dave?
No, none.
No.
No, he's not that kind.
Don't mess with my donuts.
That makes a lot of sense now, because I got a story. Well, I don't know where we were.
Uh-oh.
Go ahead. Story time with Dave Geis.
I think it was in Indiana somewhere, maybe even Jasper, where a bunch of the guys on the team got in a little bit of trouble. And so, as their punishment, he had run the field again and again and again, while a bunch of us that were not part of that were told just to sit and watch and eat donuts. Seriously.
Dave's evil, man. Dave's evil.
Now it all makes sense. I
That's
never
funny.
understood the connection there, but now I get it.
There you go. So Dave Clark making guys run, and the good boys were able to eat donuts, and they had to do it in front of their guys that were running. That's pretty classic, Dave Clark. I am not surprised.
I don't remember that. You fabricated that, Dave.
No. I won't go any further.
Hey, Patrick, being that you were in sports, what was your athletic background? What was your love for sports, or was it just the business side, or how did you get involved?
I always loved sports, but I wasn't a great athlete. I played baseball, I played softball, a little bit of football. I have a younger brother who's incredibly gifted. Is both a baseball player and a football player, full ride scholarship as a running back in college. Very talented guy. He sucked up all the athletic ability in the family, left me with nothing.
It happens.
But I grew up a big fan of the teams in Minnesota. My family didn't have a lot of money, I barely was able to watch the games on television, so I listened to them on the radio as best I could. We grew up in the country, in sort of bluff country in southeastern Minnesota, and so even getting a radio signal was a little bit of a challenge. So having the opportunity to get into sports on the business side was a dream come true for me. Not something I even believed I could aspire to. But the stars sort of aligned, and I had people in my life who pointed me in the right direction, and I had the good fortune of having that opportunity. And I'm really blessed, very, very fortunate.
And so let us know what you're doing now. You're still in the sports world. What does your company do? What are your dreams? What are your aspirations going forward?
Yeah, now I have a company called Agile Marketing Partners, and we work with companies that are sponsors of sports teams. Because one of the things that I realized when I was on the team side was that companies were investing a lot of money in sports sponsorships, but they really didn't have a plan. And working with a professional sports team costs a lot of money. So these companies were spending hundreds of thousands of dollars, sometimes millions of dollars, to work with a sports team, but they didn't have a plan. They weren't using the very expensive assets that they were buying effectively. And so I decided to go to the other side of the table, really, and work with companies that believe that sports is a good marketing platform for them, but help them do it just a little bit smarter.
Yeah, and that's what you're doing now.
Right.
And I know you're working with some big clubs. Are you able to share with some of that stuff, or is?
Yeah, I work, here in Minnesota. I work with the Minnesota Wild. Well, my clients are sponsors of the Minnesota Wild. I've worked with the Twins. I've worked with the Timberwolves, the Yankees, the Red Sox, University of Minnesota, a variety of different teams, both at the collegiate level and the professional level.
Right. That's great. That's great. So that's at least moving forward. And one of the things that we started a few weeks ago in the sports world, and we're going to put you to test here, Patrick, is because it's Thursday night football, and that's probably starting here in just a minute or two. We have, what's the score right now? Who's supposed to keep track of the score?
I think Dave's got it.
Dave?
What's that?
The score for the predictions.
Oh,
You've got
I think you and I are 3-1. Dave, you got it, no?
I think I'm 2-2.
You're 2-2.
You're 2-2.
Oh, wait,
And the
wait.
And the guests are 3-1.
What week are we on?
We're in week 6, though.
Yeah,
We're
so
4.
how
I
do we
think we're 4. I'm 4-1. You're 3-2, Dave Clark. Man, you were supposed to write this down. I'm going to have to go back and watch all the shows over again to get our.
We're going to have to. We're going to instant replay.
Instant replay.
Yeah.
Where's the red flag?
So tonight it's my Philadelphia Eagles, go Eagles, against their nemesis,
Not New
Tom
England.
Brady. Not New England, but it feels like New England because Tom Brady is in Tampa Bay.
True.
I have a feeling I'm going to be the odd man out today.
No, I don't have a feeling. I know you are.
So, but I am definitely going to go with the Philadelphia Eagles. I don't care what you guys say. They had a good week last week, and Tom Brady's getting old, and it's going to show tonight. It's going to show tonight, and the Philadelphia Eagles are going to win.
The Eagles actually have a decent shot. They're not a running team anyway, and running defense of Tampa Bay is their strength.
Yeah, so you're going to go with me?
Anyways.
So you're running all that commentary, and you know you're picking the Bucks.
No, he's not.
Yeah.
Oh. So what about you, Mr. Clark?
I'm not going to say Bucks.
All right. And Patrick, you get to pick for the guest side. Who you going to go with me with the Philadelphia Eagles, or you're going to be with the Bucks?
I am going to go with you, Doug.
Yeah, there you go.
Wow.
There you go. He's a man in sports that knows his stuff.
Right? But and it's really hard for me to pull for Philadelphia. They knocked the Vikings out of the NFC Championship game back in 2018 when it looked like the Vikings were going to be playing in the Super Bowl in their own city.
Wow.
But
Yeah.
Philly's at home, and I like their odds.
All right, we got Bonnie Mann. You don't want to mess with Bonnie Mann. She
wants the Eagles, but
she wants the Eagles, yeah. But are you predicting the Eagles,
right,
Bonnie?
right.
Bonnie's is a person for your show someday. She's a part of our book. Amazing story. Former Marine, former softball player. Later in life, went to boxing. And she is a 3-time world champion boxer, just got inducted into the International Hall of Fame in Vegas. And I think she's got some other Hall of Fames, all that stuff. So she's obviously overcome some significant things in life as a child. And even suicide was a part of her thought pattern at one point. So a lot of connections with her. Barbara, all right. I love it, man. Everybody's for me tonight.
No.
Yeah, there you go. So
Dave, don't worry about it, man.
But
Yeah.
so
I
Bonnie,
think it's a good one, but I think Tampa will win.
Brady's going to carve them up, man.
hey, I was close last week. I went against the grain.
Who was it last week? I don't remember.
I don't know. It's too long ago.
It does.
Got to go to instant replay.
Yeah.
Who was it last week? I went against the grain, I know. And then they were winning the whole way, and they should have won. I don't even know who it was. Patrick, we're all getting too old, I think, except for you. Although you said you were a grandfather, right?
Oh, the Rams in Seattle last week.
Rams in Seattle? No, we all got Rams last week. No, it was all
Rams
Rams.
in Seattle.
No, I think I was talking with Dave about the Baltimore game, and they shouldn't even have won that game.
What a
Baltimore,
game.
Indy.
What a
That was
game, man.
It was a good game.
Yeah.
So then there's no
The
way.
Monday night games have been good.
So we did get a question from Kirsten. I think is how it says, where can we see more photos and hear more about your past in the sports world, especially the photo where you're being pulled on the ice? So if you can Google for that question, if you can Google Dave Clark crutches on YouTube, you can go to d3day.com. I've got footage of Dave, some intro stories. If you do Dave Clark intro, the problem with the name Dave Clark is there's like 50 million Dave Clarks in this world, and it
makes you glad all over.
It makes you glad all over. You have the Dave Clark 5.
You can't even do Dave Clark baseball because there was one on the Indians.
And there was a Dave Clark baseball that played for the Indians who was still in baseball. One graphic that I showed earlier, because you were talking about your scooter. Patrick, do you know who that is there on the field with Dave Clark?
I was trying to figure that out earlier, but I can't quite tell.
I'm not sure who that is.
He's pretty famous twin.
Won the World Series with the Red Sox, Patrick.
Oh, that's not Minkiewicz, is it?
Yeah. As Doug.
Yeah.
Doug's lost a little hair since I saw him last.
Haven't we? All the Dougs have in this world. So have the Daves. I can't believe you did that, Dave.
Wow.
There you go.
Who is that masked man?
Put that hat back
Guys
on.
like Geister that did that to me.
That's not good for marketing, that hair. I mean, you had hair. Can I show the one picture of you?
No.
Oh, okay.
Not without my permission.
Now, I have a picture I pulled off from Patrick's Facebook page.
Okay.
I wasn't sure if donuts was his thing or wine and cigars.
Oh,
nice. Definitely wine and cigars.
That looks pretty chill. And I know. Well, here's another famous guy. I'm sure you guys will know here with
nice.
Patrick.
Well, that just answered a question I had for Patrick. If he'd ever had the privilege of meeting Tony Oliva or Rod Carew. So
both are great friends of mine.
Nice.
I saw Rod about 2 weeks ago. Rod has had a heart transplant and lung transplant. And he's just an absolutely wonderful man. Obviously one of the greatest players in the history of Major League Baseball.
Yep.
But, he's even better off the field. Just a really, really sweet human being.
Right. I'm sure you have many close friends or guys that you were able to connect with, even though that might be different in the player management world. But you can't help it when you get to know somebody and you're connected with them. You're going to become friends. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, absolutely. And listen, when guys are in uniform, and you gentlemen know this, they're pretty focused on their craft. And it's a little harder to get to know them really very well when they're playing. But after their careers are over, that's when I really established some deep friendships with people like Paul Molitor, Rod Carew, Tony Oliva, Ken Herbeck, who I saw yesterday, Tom Kelly, legendary Twins manager.
Yeah. Yep.
I spent some time with both of those gentlemen yesterday. And great people.
Yeah.
Right?
Nice.
So-
Very nice.
So, Patrick, we'll probably wrap up here soon, but tell us a fun story that you had in the business of sports and with the Twins, or what you're doing now. What's a really memorable story for you?
I've got a lot. One is, Major League Baseball provides you a great platform to do some really fun and special things for people. But it also, because it is so high profile, it gives you an opportunity to fall right on your face sometimes as well. And I've done that many, many times. And one of them was when the late, great Bob Casey, who's a legendary public address announcer for the Twins. He was there from day one until he passed away. I think it was in 2006. And Bob was this really interesting, funny, wonderful character. And, I think he had been with the Twins organization at that time, something like 44 years.
Wow.
When he passed away. And so on opening night, in 2006, I think 2006, 2007, we were honoring Bob, and I inadvertently retired his the number 44 without anybody knowing it. Basically, what happened is I'd written a script assuming that we would retire the number based on the number of years Bob was the public address announcer for the team. It did not get approved. But the wrong script was handed to the public address announcer on opening night. Oops.
Oh, no.
In front of 50,000 people and a television audience, we retired the number 44. And nobody but me knew it. So
wow.
that was
That's great.
When you're in the game, you have an opportunity to do some really fun things. But man, when you fail publicly too. I've done that many times.
Yes. There's some footage that I'd love to find of Dave Clark when he was coaching in the major leagues of Sweden, but maybe someday it'll make for great after movie footage of Dave throwing second base out into the outfield, yelling at umpires and those kind of fun, and covering up home base with this on his all fours. He looks innocent. He looks wonderful. But Dave Glace, you probably have some other thoughts on that one. So
I can't believe he would do things like that.
Yeah,
No.
nothing
I've
like
never seen him angry at all.
that. Yeah, never once.
Oh, no, it's not any longer.
Well, you know what, man? You know what? Seriously, Patrick made a good point. Especially a guy like me. I didn't have all the ability at all in the world. I didn't have much ability. So my work ethic I had to focus, just like you said, Patrick. Every time I crossed that white line, I had to be serious. Now, off the field, Dave will tell you I was easy-go-lucky guy. Right, Dave?
Sure, of course.
But on the field,
every minute.
But on the field, you do what you got to do to.
Yeah.
I didn't want to lose, man. I didn't want to lose.
Right.
So
Dave loved losing.
Yeah, just
I thought I was competitive, Patrick, until I met Dave Clark, and then I realized, man, I'm not even in the same universe.
oh, I've mellowed.
And I know you've mellowed, but I've seen you throw remote controls at a TV when the Orioles were losing a lead in the playoffs. So
yeah.
I'm just glad your arm doesn't work anymore, and we weren't paying any bills because you couldn't hit the TV at your age. So that's
Just put it further than 60 feet,
I've
6
seen
inches
it.
away, and you won't
I've
touch it.
seen it all. So, hey, any more questions you guys have for our special guest before we wrap up this
No,
35th edition of
I'm
the
just
Pulling
really
Each Other
glad that
Along
we kind
Show?
of flipped it around a little bit with the pulling each other along and with everybody pulling other people along. I think that was really key point and so true, and so easy to do.
Yeah.
People just think about doing it.
Well, we definitely want to highlight human kindness. That's part
Yes.
of the thing. We don't want to be political, and in this very polarized political world, that's not our goal here. Our goal is to, in essence, really try to unite. I mean, obviously, we're only a few guys. We have a few people that are following us. We have, I believe, an amazing book of stories that are coming out with the Pulling Each Other Along. Patrick, did you get a chance to read the foreword? I'm putting you on the spot here that Terry Bradshaw wrote.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so having Terry Bradshaw, Rocky Blyer, some of these guys that Rocky knew me. Actually, I got to know Rocky. You know how I got to know Rocky? He was on the same press table when I came out to the Super Bowl. And we had dinner the night before because he was helping out with the Wounded Warrior amputee football game that you came to. And we wound up sitting on the same press table about 3 feet apart the whole day. And it just couldn't have been more aligned, where I got to meet him. I didn't have to try to get your 1 30-second pitch in. I just showed him some pictures of Dave. He was asking me about what I do. I was asking him about where he is in life, and we exchanged phone numbers. And when this Pulling Each Other Along book came up, he was obviously high on my list to ask, and he called me right away and said, "Doug, I'm in." And he's been a part of this from the beginning. So somebody's asking, when is the book coming out? With the COVID protocols and shipping and printing and all that kind of stuff, it is off to the printer. And so we're going to start doing some pre-marketing very soon. Todd and I have a meeting on Saturday. I'm working with some tech folks to help us with the marketing. Any kind of ideas, Patrick, I'll probably throw you some emails, and any way you can help us get the word out. We're going to do a Kickstarter, and we're obviously going to want people to help pull us along so that we can get the finances we need to get a much bigger printing and go from there. So if you haven't already, you can go to pullingeachatheralong.com, and there's a picture of Terry Bradshaw. You can download the foreword. It's a free peek right now where you can get the foreword. It's really a fun read. So those of your readers, I think you'll truly enjoy it, and feel free to share that link on your social media. All right, Patrick, thank you for being a part of us. I don't know if I can get Jump back and going, or if we'll get.
I just want to say thank you for all the listeners tonight, because there's a lot of them there. Too many to single out, but thanks to everybody for listening again tonight to our dribble. And I wanted to say, Patrick, it's been great meeting you. I've talked to you on the phone. Never had the chance to chat in person, so to speak. It's been great meeting you, and thanks for being part of the show.
Thanks for agreeing to come on here. Yeah,
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Appreciate it. All right, folks, we're all going to say goodbye. The Pulling Each Other Along. Root for the Eagles tonight. Fly, Eagles, fly. And especially for Dave. Dave hates losing to me, so you really do. So we want to make Dave throw his crutch on against the TV tonight.
Whoa, no.
There's no way you're going to win tonight.
All right. Yeah, there's a way.